You're sitting across from your partner. Maybe you've been together a few years. Maybe you're married, and you're having that conversation, the one about kids. You've thought about the late-night feedings, the first steps, the school plays. You've imagined teaching them to ride a bike, helping with homework, watching them graduate. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a number. Maybe you've heard it somewhere. Something like $200,000. It sounds like a lot, but spread over 18 years? That's manageable, right? Here's the thing. That number everyone quotes, it's from 2015, and it only counts expenses through age 17. It doesn't include pregnancy. It doesn't include childcare for working parents. It definitely doesn't include college. And it doesn't account for the fact that everything got a lot more expensive since then. So before you make one of the biggest decisions of your life, let's talk about the real price, not to scare you out of having kids. If you want to be a parent, that's a beautiful thing, but so you can plan, prepare, and actually enjoy parenthood without financial surprises keeping you up at night. If you find this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more real price breakdowns. Now let's break down the real numbers. Because that $200,000 estimate, the actual number is closer to $500,000. And here's exactly where every dollar goes. The USDA published their official cost of raising a child report in 2017, covering children born in 2015. Their estimate was $233,610 from birth to age 17 for a middle-income family. Adjusted for inflation to 2025, that's about $320,000. That works out to roughly $18,000 per year, or $1,500 per month. Sounds doable for a two-income household making decent money, but this number makes massive assumptions. It assumes both parents keep working. It assumes average childcare costs. It assumes no major medical issues. It assumes you're not in an expensive city, and it completely ignores what happens after your kid turns 18. So let's dig into where the real money goes. Housing is the biggest expense, making up 29% of total costs. That's roughly $5,440 per year on average. But here's what that number hides. It assumes you already have the space. For many families, having a child means upgrading, going from a one-bedroom to a two-bedroom apartment, or from a small house to something with a yard. In high-cost cities, adding a bedroom can mean an extra $1,000 per month or more. Over 18 years, that's over $200,000 just in additional housing costs. The USDA average assumes modest adjustments. Reality can be much steeper. Next is childcare, and this is where the numbers get brutal for working parents. The national average cost of childcare in 2024 was $13,128 per year, according to Childcare Aware of America. But that's an average. In Massachusetts, you're looking at over $20,000 per year for infant care. In Washington, D.C., it's over $24,000. A 2025 Care.com survey found that parents spend, on average, 22% of their household income on childcare alone. The cost of childcare for two children, one infant and one toddler, now averages $28,000 per year nationally. That's more than in-state college tuition. If you need full-time childcare from birth to kindergarten, that's roughly 5 years. At $13,000 per year average, that's $65,000. At $20,000 for higher-cost areas, that's $100,000 just on daycare before they even start school. Food comes in at 18% of expenses, about $3,377 per year on average. That's reasonable when they're little, but teenagers eat a lot. Food costs can double once kids hit their teen years. Over 18 years, you're looking at $60,000 to $90,000 in food costs. Transportation makes up 15%. Car seats, bigger vehicles, eventually teaching them to drive. Adding a teenager to your auto insurance can increase premiums by 50% to 100%. Estimate around $50,000 over 18 years for transportation, more if you're buying them a vehicle. Healthcare is about 9% of the total, roughly $1,000 $3,688 per year in out-of-pocket costs, but that's after you've upgraded to family health insurance. And this doesn't include pregnancy and childbirth. The average cost of pregnancy, delivery, and postpartum care is nearly $19,000. Now let's talk about the costs nobody mentions. Extracurricular activities. Research shows families spend on average $731 per child per year on after-school activities, but that includes kids who do nothing. If your child plays sports seriously, expect more. Youth ice hockey averages over $2,500 per year. Travel soccer can run $3,000 to $5,000 with tournaments, equipment, and travel. Technology is now essentially mandatory. Phones, laptops for school, internet access. Budget at least $500 to $1,000 per year in tech costs for older children. And then there's the big one that the USDA completely ignores: college. For 2024 to 2025, the average cost of attendance at a public university is about $30,000 per year for in-state students. Out of state, nearly $50,000. Private universities, over $63,000. A four-year degree from a public in-state school now runs about $100,000 to $20,000. Private, $250,000 or more. Even if your child gets scholarships, expecting to pay $50,000 to $100,000 for college is realistic for many middle-class families. But here's the cost almost nobody calculates: opportunity cost. Census Bureau research shows that women's workforce participation drops by 18 percentage points after having their first child. A National Bureau of Economic Research study found that having a child costs high-skilled women an average of $230,000 in lost lifetime wages. The motherhood penalty, as economists call it, means women earn 5% to 10% less per child compared to childless women. That wage gap persists for decades. A woman earning $75,000 who reduces hours by 20% loses $15,000 per year. Over 10 years, that's $150,000 in lost earnings, plus the compound effect on raises, promotions, and retirement savings. So let's add this up. Conservative estimate for a child born in 2025, raised in an average cost area. Extracurriculars and extras, $20,000. Technology, $10,000. College contribution, $75,000. Total, $540,000 for one child. In a high-cost area like Massachusetts or California with significant childcare needs, $700,000 or more. Let me tell you about two families. Sarah and Marcus, early 30s, wanted kids but felt overwhelmed by the costs, so they made a plan. Before getting pregnant, they spent 2 years building up savings. They negotiated work-from-home arrangements. Family agreed to help with childcare 3 days a week. They moved from San Francisco to Sacramento. When their daughter was born, they had a financial cushion, a childcare plan, and realistic expectations. Hard, but they weren't panicking about money. Jake and Michelle had their first at 26. Hadn't really thought about costs beyond diapers and cribs. Both working, figured they'd handle it. Then, no paid maternity leave. Then, childcare quotes came in at $1,800 a month. Within 2 years, $30,000 in credit card debt. They love their son, but every money conversation became a fight. Same decision, different preparation, completely different experience. When you have a financial cushion, 3 to 6 months expenses saved. When you've done the childcare math for your area. When your housing situation is stable. When you've talked honestly about career impact. When you genuinely want to raise a human being, not because of pressure. When should you wait? When you're carrying high-interest debt. When your income is unstable. When you haven't had detailed conversations with your partner about who handles what. When you're expecting someone else to fund it. Here's the bottom line. Raising one child in America, pregnancy through college, realistically costs between $400,000 and $700,000. That's $22,000 to $39,000 per year, $85 to $140 per day. Every day, for about 22 years, your child costs roughly the same as a nice dinner for two. Every financial decision is a trade-off. Having children costs around $500,000 over 22 years. That's a house in many parts of America. or 25 years of retirement savings. If raising children is the most meaningful thing you can imagine, if you want that love, that growth, that legacy, then it's worth every penny. If you're on the fence, feeling pressure but not desire, maybe examine why. No universal right answer, just your right answer. Now you have the information to find it. I'm not here to tell you whether to have kids. I'm here to show you the real cost, so you can decide if it's worth it to you. Knowledge is power. Surprises are stress. Now you know raising a child really costs between $400,000 and $700,000. You know where the money goes. You know when it makes sense. The choice is yours, but now it's informed. If this helped, smash that like button. Subscribe for more real price breakdowns on everything from weddings to houses to retirement. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. And drop a comment. What should I price check next? What's a decision you want the real numbers on? Thanks for watching. Make smart choices. See you next time.